Coming to you live from Pittsburgh.
Recording in progress. Welcome to the Hill Bro Show. And today we are going to be discussing how to properly select a real estate partner. Ryan and I, Ryan Hill, Austin Hill, we are both brothers and we are real estate investors. We do this every Wednesday at 6:30. We hold a live stream on Facebook. The link will be in the description so you can join live in the future or right now. And we're just excited to be here. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Austin. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're very excited. Very excited. So Ryan, this is kind of a funny one for me and you, because we're talking about how to select a business partner. And, the obvious kind of elephant in the room is we're brothers. And a lot of times people say, don't get into business with family. And I think that is a slippery slope. And even more so, probably where we are brothers, it's forced us to have a lot of the conversations around getting into business. And we're lucky to be in the situation where we grew up together, kind of knew each other, what we were doing. Obviously, we knew each other, slept in a bunk bed for about 15 years together. But we had a good feel for where we were both going in our life trajectory. And we're able to really kind of realize that we're pretty aligned on what our goals were. And we're able to move into a business partner relationship, friends, and brothers. And I think we've learned a lot of stuff through having a lot of those conversations. And today we're just going to be talking more about that. And kind of on a higher level, really through the Hill Bro Show, we're always just looking to give back some knowledge that we've learned through our real estate journey. And we've had a lot of people that have taught us different things in the past, and we're just looking to give back and pay it forward. So if you're watching here, definitely feel free to take some notes. If you ever want to get in touch with us, we do put a link below, but let's dive into it. I know Ryan doesn't like me plugging stuff early on in the old chat here. So
Plug
Ryan,
away, man.
what's
Plug
on your
away,
mind?
Austin.
What's on your mind, man?
Well, I think the number one thing, like, it's really, really attractive and fun to get into business with someone or even form a business partner with someone that is, sorry, I just had something pop up on my end. What I was saying is it's really easy and attractive to get into business with someone that you're friends with and you're really, really close with. But oftentimes, if you're coming from the same cut or the same circle, you're going to be having similar skill sets. And I think that Austin and I, like, we both have very similar skill sets in the sense that we really do like and enjoy talking to people. And we think that we're pretty good at it. But we also have our own minds and our own skill sets that do, I guess, add up to a higher number than if we were to come in business with the same skill sets. An example of that is we both were in high school at the same time. Austin was the grade above me, and he started taking this course called digital electronics. He really enjoyed it, and it was something that he had to work hard at, but really excelled and ended up becoming an engineer after really enjoying those classes and learning a lot of skills. And for me, it was like my mind works in a completely different way. I didn't enjoy digital electronics. It was really hard for me to get through it. And I was much more on the numbers side and finance and analytics of numbers and all that stuff. Now, Austin also is really good at that stuff. But needless to say, I think that having similar skill sets that can also complement each other is probably something that I've realized, like, the dumbest partnerships is when people don't complement each other. And I think that I want to hear your take on this, Austin, too.
For one, digital electronics, I actually was pretty bad at it. I was probably one of the worst in the class. But I did end up becoming an engineer and certainly do have some skills in that realm of the woods, we'll say. Yeah, it's a common thing people say, but I'm going to say it too. It's very much like a marriage. And for those folks that hop into marriage and don't have serious conversations around what actually being married entails, there's a lot of correlations to business partners. And you need to make sure that you're not only complementing each other, but you also have the same goals. And if someone is, for instance, very ambitious and maybe not risk adverse, but they're willing to sacrifice some, say, personal short-term gains to have a long-term future and goals, you'll want to find someone who does align with you on those types of goals.
Cool, man. Well, this is a pretty special segment for us today because we are talking about our relationship both as business partners and brothers. So every episode we do have a segment called, what is it, Austin? The Hill House Story. A story about Austin and I growing up, and it's going to be a pretty funny one today. Austin had this really large growth spurt when he was growing up, and he was a man amongst children out there on a football field. He would run for about 580 yards a game. Not really, but he
I did.
It was 8th grade and 9th grade. I remember specifically Austin was just massive compared to the people on the football field, maybe even 7th grade too. But Austin had this temper as well. Like Austin's very, very chill now. And believe it or not, he had his feathers ruffled a few times, and I was on the wrong end of that a few times. He was usually pretty nice about it. But
Sorry.
there was one football game when Austin had a really close game and he ended up losing. And I don't know exactly what he was upset about, but we had this BB gun and we kept the BBs in this Ziploc bag. So Austin, he went out on the back porch and we had about 50 feet, maybe 65 feet before you hit the woods. So he had a pretty good backyard between where Austin was standing on the porch to the actual woods. And then I'm sitting behind the glass, sitting on the couch. Austin takes the BBs, starts individually taking them out of the bag and throwing them as hard as he can into the woods. And I'm not talking one. He was throwing like he stood there for a while and he was the quarterback. And I was like, this guy's totally going to throw out his arm, throwing these weightless BBs. And just I thought it like cool looking back on it to laugh, and I was definitely laughing in the moment at Austin. But the guy has passion. And I think that's a big part of what I like about you, Austin, is you're very passionate about a lot of things, and one of them is real estate and growing this business, and wouldn't want to do with anyone else. So that's definitely a one of my favorite stories to tell, and I can't wait until the next segment because I just have so many more. We'll call it roid rage stories about Austin, but
yeah, that's great, Ryan. That's great. Here's a time about my brother when it's like the maddest he's ever been. Share it with the world. Yeah.
It's important for me to see you in that situation because I was able to talk to you after and you laughed about it that day. So that's really awesome. But moving on.
Didn't throw my arm out, went on to lose many more games.
Yeah, you had a lot of awesome games too, though. So the next little segment here that we want to cover on is expectations of where the business is going and timeline of that. So Austin's video is going a little wonky here, but anyways, just like the whole story of one person, one business partner thinks that they're going to get rich overnight, and they go home and they tell that story to their wife or significant other, and then the other business partner doesn't have the same expectation. They know that this is a long, slow game that builds wealth over time. So I think that those two ends of the spectrum really need to come together. What would you share on that piece, Austin?
I think that's one of the biggest things when you're hopping in is setting expectations. I touched on it briefly earlier, but if you're not having those conversations about what your 1 year goal are, 1 week goal you could start with, but 1 year, 5 year, 10-year goals, and you're not laying that out, and obviously plans do change, but you want to at least make sure you have the same expectations as far as growth rate. And on the flip side, really what you'd be willing to sacrifice to get to that level.
Definitely.
Did we have
Yeah.
those conversations, Ryan?
Do I have those conversations with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about this stuff every single day.
Yeah, I was kidding.
Oh, that's okay. We're back on the same page here, folks. Risk tolerance is another one, the third thing we're going to talk about today. And Austin touched on it a little bit earlier, but risk tolerance or no risk tolerance. Again, you need to be on the same page on this one. I have seen business partners that have opposite risks and somehow they make it work, but it just seems really, really challenging.
Well, I think that you need to, risk can be different things, but there's conservative, and then there's aggressive, there's risk tolerant people. You know, you're willing to take out some debt in order to grow the business. There's different ways that you can leverage debt to really grow a business. And it's important that you know how to properly utilize that. But I think there can be some circumstances where someone's very risk adverse, someone's very aggressive, and they can kind of balance each other out. I think about it like a marriage. You know, if you have someone that loves going to the bars, but you also have someone that doesn't, that could probably be a good balance.
Does that just mean like one person drives the other one?
Yeah, that's kind of my scenario. It's great.
Okay.
No, what I mean is, you know, it's not probably healthy to have two people that love going to the bars every night that are married. And you could say that's probably a similar touch with if you have two people that are extremely risk adverse, maybe don't even realize what risk is. You don't really want that either. You want to have someone that is more level set and can just put things in perspective and really talk through, all right, that's the best case scenario, which oftentimes someone starting a business can go off of best case scenarios. But you really want to look at what is the worst case scenario and how can we avoid that happening? But also, you know, is that worst case scenario something we can deal with if it happens? And I think me being an engineer, Ryan being in finance, we both come at it probably from both ends of that. I think we understand the upside, but also are willing to go through and have a conversation of what happens if things were to go negative and be able to live with that as well. And it's about finding, from a real estate perspective, deals, properties where in the worst case scenario, you're still able to be successful.
It's awesome, man. Yeah, and I will say that risk is also what?
That's awesome, man. I'm just kidding. You were like, yeah. Okay.
Oh, you got a problem?
It didn't seem like you were listening to me, but I'm just messing with you too.
Got it. It's awesome, man. It's awesome, man. Okay.
Hill bickering.
Wow. Brotherly love. I think that what I would add to that is risk lack of risk tolerance or too much risk tolerance can add stress not only to your business, but your life and your relationships outside of your business. So that's something to keep in mind too. What is the worst case scenario for the business? Okay, we may lose some money, but what does that mean for your home life and your family and all that stuff? So it is really important because one business partner may not care if they go bankrupt and they're the only one in their family and they've built up this risk tolerance because they're the only one that this is impacting. So I think it's cool that you and I are both married and we both our wives are on the same track. They want the same things that we do and we're all working towards it together.
Yep. I think
yep.
Yep. I probably did it right back to you, didn't I? Yep. I think that it's what you said there is so key. And it's not about necessarily saying, all right, I'm okay to go bankrupt. That's certainly not the mindset any business partner should have. I just wanted to note that.
Well, it's just like it's not going to impact anyone else, so they have a much higher risk tolerance is all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Going bankrupt or eating ramen noodles every night or whatever it may be.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Ryan, when you're looking at, because Ryan and I talked today for about an hour going through one of the deals that we have, and it's a great investment. I think that the investor that we end up being involved with on this one's going to have great returns. And Ryan was grilling me about all the worst case scenarios. What does it look like under this circumstance? What does it look like under this circumstance? And what we were talking about, if interest rates were to go up, put in this interest rate, see what that happens. See the taxes go up. What happens if we aren't able to achieve this rent that we think we're going to be able to get? And what if the timeline of that rent doesn't line up? And one thing that I countered with Ryan was, I think it's important to have that worst case scenario conversation, but then it's even more important to almost make a list of all the risks and goals that you want to have, and know that these things are objectives and milestones that you want to hit. So it's having a plan in place. And we ended up changing our strategy a little bit on that specific property, just to make sure that we did have all of our risks covered.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think we were kind of coming at it, and we met somewhere in the middle where we're feeling very realistic about it, and we can go to our investors and feel good about what we're pitching to them as underselling and still over delivering, but being very realistic about that.
Yeah. No, I think in that situation, I think we balanced each other out very well.
Yeah, for sure. No heated argument either, which is really great. The last one is vision.
We don't have those. I
have much better vision than Austin does, but I guess since he got LASIK surgery, we're pretty much on par. Maybe you're even better than me at this point.
I have 20/15 in my right eye.
I think that's what actually I have too.
Yeah. If it sounded like someone was just like hawking up a hairball, that was happening. That's my dog.
I actually didn't hear anything, but hey, Fred.
Yeah, he's right over there. He was just hawking a hairball up literally right next to me.
Nice.
You don't think that dogs hawk up hairballs. And I don't know if he necessarily was in this instance, and it's not really a hairball, but he'll get something stuck in his throat and hawk it up.
I think it's pretty
folks, for the tangent there.
Pretty typical dog behavior.
Can we right now? I mean, it won't happen on the live stream, but we'll edit this video and we'll show a cute picture of my dog, Fred. So what else, Ryan?
Well, I was trying to talk about vision.
Yeah, sorry.
And Austin and I were asked today, we were interviewed on a podcast, and they were asking about vision and that stuff. And we actually had very similar answers. And we've talked about this before. When we go and meet with someone and they're doing something that we're not doing, they're doing something over here, we're doing something over here. They've been in business for longer than us. This just happened to us. And we're like, okay, let's build our foundation so strong that we can get there and start acting in that as that person. So moving together and not even having to really talk about it is so important. And it's so fun when you get to that point in business.
Yeah. And we were totally on the same page. I think when we talked about it, I was already so far in my mindset of like, Ryan is already in the same page before we spoke the words to each other.
Yeah.
And we're brothers, so we do have an advantage there in that situation. But it's pretty cool when that stuff does happen. Yeah,
and we're both aware enough too. Like we're not getting shiny and object syndrome. We know that we need to keep doing what we're doing now to get there, and it doesn't need to be right away, but 100% that's where we're going. And we're leaving a little cliffhanger for you folks here too.
Of where we're going, like what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, stay tuned for 5 years down the road. We will be doing this for 5 years, so we'll hop on and share. Yeah, it'll be fun going back to this episode of the Hill Bro Show.
The Hill Bro Show.
Hill Bro Show, and actually watch it.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot more to having a good partnership, but that's all I had on my list. I wanted to keep it concise.
I like it. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about? And you just said that's all you have on your list, so that's a stupid question on my end. I had like a couple things that I wanted to touch on,
By all means.
Yeah, I think that informing a business partner people always think of like, can I have fun with this person? And is that important in a business partner? And I would say yes. I would say that that is important. I think that you want to be able to make each other laugh, and Ryan doesn't really make me laugh too much, but every now and then
You want
something.
to at least have one business partner laughing.
Ryan and I used to do a public speaking course together, and we used to have to leave the room when the other person was speaking. Teacher made us do that because we couldn't get through a speech with the other person in the room. We've gotten much better at it now. Like, you know, right here, we're able to look at each other and not laugh. But it's been something that we've had to overcome through the years. I think, you know, just one thing that I did want to touch on, in, you know, it's relevant right now. We just recently had another interest rate hike, and it just went up. I think it was 0.75 basis points on the 2nd of November. And correct me if I'm wrong. Is that true, Ryan?
The terminology is 75 basis points for 0.75%. But yeah, I'm looking it up to see the actual date, but I don't think that really matters.
Yeah. Accuracy does matter.
Yeah,
but
I mean, 75 basis points ain't much.
Yeah. So anyways, a lot of people are, you know, backing out of the market, but there's a lot of upside in those deals because you're making them work under a less circumstance. And if there was to be a refinance down the road where you could lower the interest rate, you're going to be looking at a much better deal. And we have a video that we can tag at the end of this that goes into that in much more detail, but it's important to realize that. And you want to make sure, obviously, you're not speculating saying in 2 years when it's back to 3%, because your deal can't be based on that. That is a risk. And you don't know that. That's speculation. But as long as you're cash flowing and you can ride it out, it's a great deal.
Yeah, I mean, if you can ride it out 10, 15 years, then that definitely helps.
Yeah, whenever appropriate, we'll say.
Cool. But
Don't
yeah,
like to lock things into timelines there, buddy.
Well, that's a really long time period, but we'll go ahead and put that video up there for everyone.
Yeah, we will. We will. Well, Ryan, was there anything else that you wanted to cover? I know we want to keep these quicker so folks can get in and out, watch them, enjoy them, laugh a little bit, learn a little bit. But is there anything else that you want to touch on before we close this thing out?
No.
All right. Well, this was episode 3 of the Hill Bro Show. And thank you very much for watching. We hope you got a lot out of it. And the big thing here is we're going to be releasing these videos every Wednesday live on this Facebook group. We'll post a link at 6:30. And one thing Ryan and I love is interacting with people. We love comments. We love different live stream interactions. And really the goal is just to get as many people involved and get feedback. So if you have a question, pop it in the chat. We'll hop in and answer it for you. And really, most of our content is going to be posted on our YouTube channel, The Hill Bro Show. So just like and subscribe to that, and you'll be able to see all of our content coming out. And we look forward to continue to do these videos and getting to know you guys over time. So thank you very much. And Ryan's gone blurry on us, but have a great day.
That is probably the longest outro I've ever heard. Congratulations. My goodness.
Hill Bros out.